Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Berman from National Mortgage Professional. Thank you so much for joining us today on a beautiful Wednesday. Hopefully, it's beautiful wherever you are. Really, really excited about coming to you today on this March 24th. Actually how we roll. We come to you every live every Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock East Coast time, meeting with the brightest and best minds in the mortgage business. So excited to have our guest today, Kristin Messerli, who is the Vice President of Mortgage Sales over at Experience.com, formerly known as SocialSurvey, the company that has been designed for customer experience obsessed mortgage companies. Would you say that that's right, Kristen? Is that a good way to categorize it?
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it.
So thank you so much for joining us today. I got a couple of things I want to talk about. I mean, so I'm going to talk about one of the reasons it was the impetus to kind of bring you on. Well, I've wanted to have you on before. There's a lot of things that we have to be talking about, but the Brokers United thing, I'm really excited about that, especially, right now, as the broker market shares just seems to be growing, and it just seems to make so much sense for brokers to be serving our communities. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit about your background. We'll talk a little bit about, how you got actually, involved in the mortgage business. But let's go back to the beginning of how you actually got into, how you actually came into the mortgage business. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So first of all, so glad to be here. Your show is awesome, and I can't believe it's taken this long for us to actually chat. But I got into the mortgage business. I feel like it's kind of home for me. My dad started a mortgage company when I was really little, so I watched him grow his business and get through the financial crisis, all of that. And so then I thought, I want nothing to do with this, and I became a social worker. I worked as a social worker for about 7 years, but I kept finding myself doing a lot of financial education, housing coordination, educating people about mortgages, and so I started the company Cultural Outreach as a way to bridge the gap between lenders, financial institutions, and underserved communities. Because as a social worker, I was working primarily in immigrant communities. And so I talked a lot about cultural differences and how to bridge that gap culturally or linguistically. And as I was doing that, I realized that there was a big need for understanding that those cultural nuances generationally as well. So that kind of evolved into what became a big part of my career has been focused on Nextgen homeownership and some trends in digital mortgage as well. But that was a short version of this journey.
Well, and I've got more. I want to dig into that journey. I want to understand a little bit about actually, how you kind of take the social work approach to finances. But I'm curious. So what was your opinion of your dad's mortgage business growing up, aside from actually the financial crisis? So up into 2006, let's call it, what was your opinion of the business? We were like, this is a great business. I want to get into this business. What was your feeling about the mortgage business from your dad's perspective?
Yeah. I joke about saying I didn't want to be in it, but I actually had a very, very high, very positive view of the industry. I watched how it's a tight knit crew here. And I loved that. I loved the fact that my dad and his business was very central to the community, so we were, he wanted to get to know everyone in the community, and it was all about supporting people. He had so many stories of helping people make their dreams come true through homeownership, and, the closing and how special the closing was. So I loved that. I worked with him since I was very little. Like I was always, filing his papers when I was 7 or whatever. And then my first job was as a teller. And so I definitely had a very positive view. And then as I got older, I realized no one I knew had a positive view of the industry. And I was like, whoa, there's a very big difference here.
So, all right. So you got out of said, okay, I want nothing to do with the mortgage business, because apparently mortgage brokers were to blame for the mortgage meltdown and the entire economic collapse, as we all know is complete a load of crap. But So you said actually I'm going to get into the social work inside. Tell me a little bit about when was actually where was the genesis of where you saw the opportunity to kind of bring over what you learned in social work to the world of finance. Because I know it wasn't actually just about mortgages. Also, you went to school for financial planning. So talk to us a little bit about how actually you said, hey, I'm going to take actually what I learned in social work and bring it over to apply that to teaching people about money.
Yeah, well, I was constantly educating my clients, and primarily, again, the immigrant community. I was constantly educating on understanding where the financial resources were, how to, they were caught up in a lot of times really predatory lending practices. And I was like, there's great banks over here. And there was a lot of distrust when it came to financial institutions. So I was kind of untangling some of that distrust really frequently. And then I was also going to not just financial institutions. I actually started working a lot in healthcare as well, but all of the community resources. I was doing a lot of education on understanding some of the cultural nuances in immigrant communities and how to facilitate how to build connections with people who are already trusted in the community in order to better reach them. And again, kind of like disentangle this idea of debt as being a negative thing, or they're having a negative brand in that community. And so, I started doing a lot of coordination with different events and leaders in the community associated with quality financial institutions and connecting them, and then doing trainings in both sides of this kind of transaction. And I realized that there was a business opportunity here where financial institutions would pay me to train their representatives and pay me to help coordinate some of that connection. So that's where it was born.
So, and who are the leaders that you went out to into the community? Because I think this is actually for our viewers that are mostly originators and I think this is a great idea on how they can reach out to their community. Because most of our people that watch this are going to be independent mortgage companies, and independent mortgage companies, whether mortgage brokers, small mortgage bankers, they're the ones actually who can actually invest and develop actually their relationships through the community. And we'll talk about actually the unique opportunity that you're presenting to them. But talk to us a little bit about who are those leaders that you would connect with that possibly our viewers can connect with.
Yeah, so this is where it's interesting, and I think it's important whether you're working in a specific cultural segment or a generational segment, but it's identifying people who are already trusted in those communities and are already leaders. And it may not be someone that you automatically think of, but I was coordinating a lot with the church leaders in the Latino immigrant community, and I was coordinating a lot with some of the nonprofit leaders and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So these organizations, and at the time we didn't have NAREP, but that would be an association to be involved with. And so by connecting with them, building relationships with those leaders on a one-on-one level, and saying, hey, I really want to connect with this community, and what are some ways that we can better support you or be involved? And just kind of, I realized that it's important, one, to not come in and say like, hey, sell right away. There's a lot of distrust here, but to build relationships with key leaders and show up on a regular basis to events and groups that are important in that community. And so then you become known as a trusted resource in that community, and then can start collaborating. And so then I would go to a church leader and say, hey, can we host an event after a service at your church, or can we coordinate a group of resources and be one of those involved? And that would be a way. So that's something that we ended up replicating with cultural outreach in multiple cities and with multiple lenders as well.
All right, so you basically would work with financial institutions. They wanted to get awareness. They wanted to actually to grow in the communities, and you would basically say, hey, listen, don't come here selling anything. Come here actually, with the approach of I'm just going to share information. And eventually these people are going to say, hey, listen, they're sharing information. I have questions. They'll engage. And so who were some of your first clients that you would work with, on bringing them, to the communities, the community leaders?
Like, who are some of the first lenders I worked with?
Yeah, like so. Yeah, what were they? Well, they large lenders, but was it your dad's mortgage company? Like who were like the first companies that you started working with? That you were bringing this approach to.
Yeah, so I started with my dad's company, tested a few things out there, so that was nice. And then I started replicating that with I'm trying to think about. It was interesting. I definitely think all along the way bit off more than I could chew, but I think that's how it goes. I worked with a larger lender. Regions Bank was one of my first kind of where we're mapping out this actual roadmap that we call the culture map, and that's where we would identify here's the process in specific cities. Here's how we're empowering your loan officers and connecting with you with local resources, and they were amazing. It's actually, and again, a testament to this industry. Each of my early customers and beyond have been so collaborative because they believe in the mission too. I mean, they understand the business opportunity, but they also understand the impact opportunity. And so we've worked very collaboratively to create a process that really works. And so yeah, I think I've worked with small, medium, large companies across the board and established a process that is really effective.
Right now, I mean, so your undergrad, you majored in theology. So like do you think that was like one of the deciding factors that like it can, if our viewers haven't majored in theology, like are they still going to be able to make those kind of connections? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think college is all about learning how to learn, so and I majored in theology because I cared about people and learning how to build connections, I think. And I did a lot of I led our outreach department in the college, and I think that's where a lot of the social work aspect grew from. But there's I wrote an article in Housing Wire actually about this trauma-informed care model that we use in social work that I applied in our practice at cultural outreach. And it was just all about ultimately empowering the customer. And that's what we talk about when it comes to next-gen homeownership as well. Consumers today, especially those who are not very trusting of financial institutions, which is all of next-gen homebuyers and a lot of multicultural homebuyers, it's all about empowering the customer and building the customer experience around that consumer. And so in a trauma-informed care model within social work, it's about building trust and safety, collaboration with the customer, and providing choice to the customer, which again is, big in our industry, and then ultimately empowerment. So I think that's where it seems like a stretch to think theology to where we are today, but it's actually not at all. It's all about connecting with people and helping people make that step in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, like one of the things that I thought was amazing, actually. So there were many reasons why actually I was looking forward to actually to finally actually having you on Mortgage Leadership Outlook. I mean, the fact that you were former editor of the Mortgage Banker. I'm sorry, Mortgage Women magazine. The fact that that you. So I met you actually actually at SocialSurvey's offices. I think like a couple of weeks after you went to Burning Man. And so I'm theology to Burning Man, I was like, this has got to be one of the most interesting people that we've had actually on Mortgage Leadership Outlook.
Well, it's really the same thing. I showed up at Burning Man and I was like, this is my religion. Again, it's about connecting with people and and just living an authentic life. So yeah.
So awesome. That's great. So tell us actually, if you mind, can we dig into a little bit about some of the findings that you found from the Nextgen Homebuyers report, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us like some of the things that that if people are watching this, they're gonna be like, really? Like, so what are some of like the things that maybe even shocked you?
Okay, well, I want to hold up. First of all, it wasn't surprising. I'll tell you the thing that was most surprising here in just a second, but the thing that wasn't surprising, but it is something that I want everyone to really grasp, is that next-gen homebuyers lack confidence. That is across the board. People are we were surveying people that were either about to buy or had just recently bought. And people, and I've also interviewed so many next-gen homebuyers at this point. And I think it was 1 out of 5 said that they were not confident in any step in the home buying process. process, and those who are about to enter the process. And that's just a huge amount that had zero confidence, in any step, even including, we just talked about like basic looking for a home or what is a mortgage. And so that was pretty surprising to me in a way, although again, like this is something we've been talking about for so long, that this generation really is nervous about starting the process. They search online immediately. That's always what we do as consumers. But then it's overwhelming. There's so many things online and conflicting information. And then where do you go from there? So when they find someone, a loan officer, a realtor that they really trust, then they feel a whole lot better about the process typically. But that step is pretty difficult. But the most surprising thing in the report, and we have a whole section, like kind of a sub report in there, is the gender gap. And I was just shocked to find this out, because single women are the second largest cohort of home buyers today. Single women and women overall are making a lot more, financial decisions. They're I think it's 50-50 breadwinner at this point in their household. And there's a huge amount of wealth creation in the female segment. And yet there's a giant gap in all across the board of financial behaviors. And so, men were 300%, something over 300% more likely to be investing in the stock market. But every aspect of the of financial behavior, from savings to home ownership, men were felt more confident. And of course, that comes to, I think, we dug a little bit deeper and did a follow-up survey. And we also even controlled for whether they had children, income level, like anything we could think of. And the only thing that was consistent across the board was that women were less likely to have been taught about financial education as children. And so I think there's an interesting, element there to think about, is like where we're coming from really does matter. I mean, if women were significantly less likely to be taught about building a budget or creating a budget as children, and I think that's hopefully, going away with this next generation. But it shows you how important our childhood really is, and experiences that we have, our backgrounds, to our financial behavior. And I think a lot of times our financial behavior is really disconnected from psychology. And yet, if anyone thinks about your earliest money memory, it probably is playing out in some major way in your life. And so that was a huge takeaway I had. And I think something that, we need to work around empowering all of the segments that we're speaking to, and being very cognizant of the specific needs and resources needed for each community, especially, I think, single female home buyers.
I'm thinking about my first money experiences, and it's
yeah.
I was just trying to think actually what the correlation. So obviously we like that as mortgage lenders, we can't control what's happened previously. Obviously, it'd be great actually if the financial education was there, and it would be great actually for us to do outreach programs now today, so future generations are going to be better prepared and are going to have that confidence. But so let's say we can't do that. Like, what can lenders do today to put in place to give actually next gen home buyers that confidence, so they feel like actually that they're making an educated decision, that they're actually being empowered with information?
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually an interesting question for me right now, because I just closed on my house. I thought it was a few days ago, but it was actually yesterday that it officially happened. And so I was thinking so much about this homebuyer journey. And, I've gone through the homebuyer journey so many times. I bought a home 10 years ago in Oklahoma, but that was a very different market. And going through it myself today, it was so stressful. And I was licensed as a loan officer last year, just for a technology I was working on. Like, I know this business, I know the process. And yet when I got my loan estimate, I was just so overwhelmed. And I was like, well, I don't know what's happening here, and yet I like should have known. But it's just, it's stressful. There's, yeah, man. So thankfully I had a really good friend, loan officer, who put together a total cost analysis for me with Mortgage Coach, and showed that to me, and it helped me a ton. Yeah, I was already a fan of Mortgage Coach, but then when I was in that moment and just like oh my gosh. Then when I got the total cost analysis and he walked me through it, I was like, I mean, I am a major fangirl now for that product. But yeah, I think that to provide a good experience to everyone today, it's really about, in my opinion, having consistent communication and providing the education as the consumer wants it. Information in a way that's digestible and really. It doesn't actually take that much extra work. I mean, I think a lot of times we think about education as this big thing that like, I don't have time for that. We can't fix the financial literacy rates or whatever. But if you build trust with the consumer by just saying, hey, I'm going to walk you through this. I'm empowering you as the customer to make sure that you have the choices, that you are able to clearly understand those, kind of going through that social work model, then it's just about having consistent communication and being really clear about their options. I think a lot of people, like for me, after I had experienced, or I got the loan estimate, and then it was like 15 days went by, maybe it was less. I'm sure I was really impatient, but I was just like, hello, is anyone gonna, are we still doing this thing? And so I'm sure a lot of people, home buyers, are impatient like me, but just some kind of notification, and PS, we can do that at experience.com, but some kind of notification of like, hey, just checking in, how are you doing? Let me know if you have any questions. Like that can go such a long way for this anxious consumer that is, wants to know what's happening.
Interesting. So it's communications. It's just communications, like staying in contact, whether something's happening or if something's not happening. That's key. Okay, that's awesome. So all right. So you mentioned. Oh, by the way, I think actually like the total cost analysis should be included right after the LE. I mean, really, I'm sure Dave Savage would love that today. Oh, by the way, today's show is sponsored by Mortgage. He hasn't sent me the check yet, but he will send it to this.
Yeah,
but I mean, it is a powerful.
It really should be standard. Yeah,
Yeah. So all right. So here you actually are. You were able to successfully sell cultural outreach and move on actually to SocialSurvey, now experience.com. Like what actually listen, you've had a lot of success in this business. I'm sure actually your dance card was pretty filled about opportunities that you could have taken advantage of. What actually excited you about experience.com?
Well, it's interesting because I've taken a year of me really thinking about whether I should leave cultural outreach or not. But then I'd been working closely with Tony Thompson, who I sold the company to at NAMBA. And it just was a perfect fit there, and I knew that I wanted to be working in technology. I knew that it was time for me I kept kind of trying to make cultural outreach become a technology or move into that. And I was like, no, it's good at what it's good at, consumer financial education. We create great content at cultural outreach and we have that, consulting process, but it fit within the NAMBA family of companies. So I finally came to terms with that. Sold the company in December, and right when I was about to sell it, Scott, the CEO of Experience.com, called me and said, hey, we want someone to run the mortgage division and stand up this platform, Brokers United. And he didn't even know that I was selling my company yet. I hadn't made that public. He was just like, can you hire someone to run cultural outreach? Like, whatever. And I was like, I can't believe you're calling me. This is amazing. So let's do this. And so that was, and also, part of the reason I was interested is because of this transition from SocialSurvey to experience.com as really a comprehensive experience management platform. We've really been the best of the market when it comes to building reviews, but now we're able to have these at any touch point with the customer or employee to deliver a survey or notification or feedback channel and analyze that data and then use that to drive better decisions in these companies. So for me, who's been very focused on customer voice my entire career, this is exactly what it just makes so much sense. I can't believe how much sense it makes for my career to be able to really build this part of the company and this new transition in the company to taking customer voice to help businesses drive better decisions.
I mean, you're a spiritual person. Scott's a spiritual person. I mean, like when that happened, that call happened, that just meant like, Okay, I guess so. You know,
I
that's
know, I
divine
know.
inspiration to see something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable, you know, what Social Survey, now experience.com, you know, has done, you know, and I mean, really, actually, like customer experience, like 10 years ago, 10 years ago, yeah, that wasn't really a thing. Like, I mean, it was starting to become a thing, but like, I mean, CFPB, you know, like created actually this mandate. We need to actually, you know, improve the customer experience. We did how do you measure customer experience? And then along comes Social Survey to say this is how you measure customer experience and how you gauge it, how you gamify it and actually make it so you can improve it. And it was just, I didn't understand it at first. And I remember actually, like, I think there was many people that tried to explain to me at Social Survey, and they just didn't get it. And I started actually seeing you know, like friends of mine using it, and I was like, wow, that is so powerful. And they started talking about like incentive programs that they would do, you know, to incentivize originators to get, you know, more you know, better ratings, and it just makes all the sense in the world. So all right, so it's what an unbelievable journey to bring you to, you know, to experience.com. And then actually the thing that really excited me, as my dad was a former mortgage broker like your dad, you know, to hear actually that you're teaming up with, you know, some unbelievable technology partners and some of the biggest lenders to create Brokers United, to basically empower these mortgage brokers, the independent mortgage brokers that are supporting the communities with, you know, like enterprise level technology. So talk to us about the genesis of Brokers United.
Gosh, yeah, it is really exciting. It's so it started out of a conversation that Scott was having and the team was having with Caliber, I believe, out of like, hey, we want to make this available to brokers, and here's how we could do this. And it has evolved into something really fantastic. We are working with multiple lenders. Right now, we have a handful of lenders that have been incredible partners with us as we're really shaping this together. Again, such a testament again to the industry of like wanting to create something together that is great for the broker community, but also really great for consumers. So we've been working with PennyMac, Caliber, PRMG, Parkside, and now MFS. And this is kind of our beginning cohort. And so as we're right now, they are we're making this available completely free for brokers. We're slowly you can join the wait list now if you're a broker. We're slowly bringing people in, and we're offering experience.com, the review generation platform, like that aspect of the platform, for free for brokers. And then the lenders who are participating, we're able to deliver to them some benchmarking data. So we're not giving any kind of consumer information or anything like that. It's just about helping them understand your brokers are getting about an average of 4.1 score on their loans when they work with you. And that's in comparison with your competitor who's getting about a 4.3. And we're able to pull specific insights that allow them to improve their customer experience and improve their relationship with their brokers. So that, again, it's about empowering the brokers and delivering a better customer experience to consumers. So I think, you know, we were so excited about launching this platform. There was a little bit of misinformation out there, but it's a very collaborative environment. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. We are starting with making experience.com free for brokers, but we are expanding this to become more of a consortium of other major enterprise level technology companies. So we're talking with other companies like Mortgage Coach and some others, MMI, who are going to be involved in making this available to the broker community that previously, you know, enterprise level technology was only available to the larger lenders. And brokers, as you mentioned, there's a real rise in the broker community, but I think the broker community needs a lot of support when it comes to customer experience and access to enterprise level technology. And so hopefully together with our lender partners and brokers, we are going to create that possibility.
Wow. So now what's the difference between the experience.com version that, you know, like lenders will get that are writing the checks that they're doing to have access, and what the brokers get?
Yeah, so the brokers are getting access to their own profiles. They're each able to immediately right now create a profile and start generating reviews. So that is, you know, what we know as SocialSurvey, or what the industry knows as SocialSurvey, that's available for free. The lenders who are participating we're putting together some reports that allow them to just understand what their customer experience, and right now we're in the process of building that collaboratively with lenders. And we're also going to pull in some additional partners on that. But it's about helping them understand how to better provide a better experience to their brokers and to those consumers.
Interesting. Now, and from SocialSurvey, if mortgage lenders actually participate in it, basically the survey gets sent to all of their borrowers, right?
Yeah, so those who have the brokers who participate and the lenders that participate. So if the broker has a profile and the loan goes through PennyMac or Caliber, for instance, that is going to be automatically sent out as a survey to the customer. And so they don't have to do anything. They're automatically generating reviews for any of the loans that go through there. If they are using a different lender that isn't participating yet, they can still manually send out that survey as a broker. It's just not going to be automated yet because we're not connected with that lender.
That's great. I mean, one of actually the early adopters of using actually also the wholesale reviews, the wholesale lender reviews. It was PRMG. PRMG actually saw that like before a lot of other companies saw that opportunity just to make sure that they were like the best that they could possibly be. Do you see, has that taken off? Do a lot of wholesale lenders have actually that same, desire to know, what actually their broker experience is and the commitment to make the changes like PRMG does?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, PRMG was definitely first saying like, hey, we're stoked on this. This is something that they're, all about. But we've had so much interest from both the broker community and the lender community that we have had to say, okay, we're building this as we go, and we don't want to bite off too much. We want to make sure we provide a good experience through this as well. And we are transitioning from SocialSurvey to experience.com and this new, more comprehensive platform all at the same time. So we're doing this a little bit slowly so that we make sure we do it right. But that we have the whole list of lenders who are super excited to join this as well. So I think that I want to be really clear that this is not any kind of advocacy association or anything like that. It's about delivering technology that's going to improve the broker and borrower experience. And I'm so excited about it. I think it's going to be really transformative.
That's awesome. I love that. No agenda besides giving brokers the best tools that they could possibly have, so they can beat the pants off of their much bigger banker counterparts. So, what do you love about the mortgage broker? Like obviously, your dad actually was a mortgage broker, but we're talking a little bit about actually your love for the mortgage broker. Talk to us a little bit about what your love for the mortgage broker and what really experience.com's commitment to the mortgage broker is.
Yeah, well, I think it's a really good experience for the borrower. I mean, I mentioned that I was getting licensed. I got licensed last summer, and it was because I was working on a technology that was going to be a technology as a broker. Like, we became a broker. So anyway, ended up becoming a servicing platform, servicing portfolio management platform. But I started out thinking really closely about that borrower experience through the broker. And I was like, wait, why isn't everyone doing this? Like, why is this, it was really enlightening to me to understand the difference there. And I know there's, pros and cons of going with a lender versus a broker. And my dad now works with a lender, but I understand the difference there, but I really think there's a lot of opportunity, especially for consumers, next-gen consumers who are thinking, I want to understand my choices out there. I want to know that I'm getting the best opportunity, and having that intermediary as a broker to say, hey, I'll be the one that goes between this and be your advocate. There's a branding play here, but I think that's a huge opportunity for consumers, for brokers to go to consumers and say like, hey, let me educate you on this. I'll be your guide through this process. And here's all of your options from multiple lenders. And we're going to make sure we find the best fit for you. That's really exciting to me.
That's awesome. I know. So when we talked actually earlier this week, you mentioned something, consumer empowerment, right? Consumer empowerment. And that's what doing business with a broker is like, consumer empowerment, because you're basically saying, listen, you're not just going to this one lender, that has their, their own specific, actually, flavor of programs they want, their own actually overlays that they want, but you're the mortgage broker. You have the option to go to as many lenders as you want to go to, and having actually that freedom and flexibility to find actually the best borrower or the best lender that's going to serve your borrower, and you become like the advocate for that borrower, which is perfect for your social, your what you call it, your
experience.com.
Yeah, experience.com, but your social work experience.
Yeah.
A lot of social there. So yeah, your social work.
Also social and experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I think actually that's it's like you were kind of your career actually has brought you to a point where you've actually developed actually all the things needed to empower the mortgage broker. So that's great. Very, very exciting. So what is actually in April your Brokers United launches, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did kind of a small launch. We've done a couple of different small launches along the way, and we're going to continue. We're going to take another larger launch in April. So we're excited about that. Definitely, if you're a broker listening, would love for you to join the wait list. And hopefully, I think at this point we still have room to make that launch. And then I hate to put a timeline on it, but we'll continue to do roll out and hopefully by the end of summer be able to fully just be scaling up. So
fantastic. So if a broker's watching this and they want to participate, they want to join that wait list, where are they going to go to?
Go to BrokersUnited.com. Very easy.
Very simple. I'm going to flash this up on the screen and in the chat room here, so everyone will see. BrokersUnited.com. Hopefully I spelled brokers and United correctly. And here we go, everyone. Check it out, BrokersUnited.com. Get over there, sign up, get on there early. Awesome. Love it. Love the story. Love actually your whole path. And Kristen, I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today.
Thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions or would like to discuss Brokers United or experience.com, I am always happy to do that. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So thank you so much, Andrew, for having me. This has been a really fun conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you again for watching another Mortgage Leadership Outlook. We are taking a 1 week hiatus from next week, but we got some great guests lined up for you in April. So everyone, I just hope you're having a great March, and we will see you soon. Take care.